Guys, what is going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, smash the like button. Smash the like button. As always, hit the subscribe button. Share the videos, of course. And leave your comments in the comment section below. You know what? I'm liking the interaction between the subscribers and you guys. So I try to get back to as many of you. Sometimes, there are a lot of comments, but I try to reply to as many comments, especially when I see some fascinating comments. I love to get back and give my opinion about certain, things and about certain situations. Guys, I want to get into this. Roy Jones recently gave an interview, and Roy Jones was talking about a Canelo Usyk fight. And I found it interesting what he was saying. He was saying that, Usyk beats Canelo quite comfortably. Now, let's go into boxing a little bit. You know what? With all these Jake Pauls and all these YouTubers coming into boxing, we're getting all kinds of strange matchups. And a lot of those strange matchups are getting a lot of recognition. When I mean recognition, a lot of viewership. And also it's putting a lot of pressure on fighters, because we want fighters to go above and beyond. A lot of the fighters are, since the Mayweather era, they're looking to stay undefeated. They're looking to keep their O. Canelo obviously lost his O a long time ago against Floyd Mayweather, and he took a risk. And that risk didn't pay off. He went up against one of the best fighters of that generation in Floyd Mayweather. And he lost. And lost quite handily. So Canelo doesn't really have an O to protect. However, one thing you would say is that Canelo after that has been to me, Canelo has definitely got, I thought the Golovkin fight, I don't really think he's got a lot of favorable decisions, which I was going to say. I think the Golovkin fight, the first one, definitely, I think Golovkin won that. Some people say Lara. But Canelo has definitely been a fighter, who's been managed in a way where they don't want him to lose, because of the fact that they know the kind of asset that Canelo Alvarez is to the sport of boxing and how valuable he is. It's very important that Canelo, whenever Canelo fights, is a bit like Mayweather. He's a big asset. There's a lot of money being made. Not quite as much as Mayweather, because Mayweather was making crazy amounts of money. And, Mayweather was making a lot more than Canelo, especially towards the back end of Mayweather's career. But Mayweather was just that kind of character where, especially towards the back end of his career, people wanted to see if someone could beat him. So there was a lot of interest in his fights, whereas Canelo doesn't really have that. Canelo, a lot of Canelo's fans are hardcore fans, whereas Mayweather, the whole thing behind Mayweather was the fact that if Mayweather had lost, I don't think Mayweather would have been as big. I think that that awe that Mayweather had, or that, that appeal that Mayweather had would have gone, because a lot of people were watching Mayweather because they wanted to see if there's a guy that can beat him. And that's how Mayweather marketed himself. You see, Mayweather marketed himself in a way where he always used to say to fans, no one can beat me, I'm the greatest, I'm this, that, and the other. So he was marketing himself in a way that no one can beat me, so the fans would watch to see if this guy can beat him. That's why towards the back end of his career, Mayweather started marketing that even more. And the fans used to tune in to see if someone can beat him. Hence why the fans were tuning in all the time. Especially towards the back end, because they wanted to see if anyone could defeat Mayweather. So Mayweather marketed himself in a great way, where he became a villain, where fans would hate him, and they wanted to see if the next guy can beat him. So Mayweather did a great thing. He did a great thing with his career where, a lot of people were tuning in to see him lose. I know with the McGregor stuff, like people knew he weren't going to lose to McGregor and stuff like that. But, you know, people were just wanting to tune in because of the event. That was when the so-called, you could say the so-called fantasy crazy matchup started taking place. You know, after that, then that's when we see all these YouTubers and all of that get involved in boxing. But the point I'm trying to make is the way Mayweather marketed himself was brilliant. And that's why he made so much money, where Canelo's never going to be able to get to that level because Canelo is different. Canelo's already taken a loss. People aren't watching Canelo to see Canelo get beat. They're just watching, his fans are just watching him. They want him to win. They're supporting him. You know, he's got a huge Mexican fan base. Whereas Mayweather had a lot of casuals glued because a lot of people wanted to see him lose. You know, they wanted to see if this guy could be the next guy that beats Mayweather. Canelo's got a different kind of, you know, he's been built differently. You know, he already took a loss early on in his career. And for Canelo, it's more about people watching him. He's more exciting than Mayweather. Like I said, he's got a more hardcore fan base that are watching him because they want to see him win. Like, Canelo doesn't have people watching. Like, obviously, there'll be people that probably want to see him lose. You know, all fighters have, you know, haters like that. But Mayweather kind of marketed himself on that model, marketed himself, you know, behind that strategy. Whereas Canelo, you know, people aren't watching him to see him lose. Canelo's just got an incredible fan base, got a whole country behind him that supports him. So that's why Canelo does great numbers. He doesn't do Floyd numbers, but he does great numbers because of the fact that he just has a huge fan base. Whereas Mayweather is crazy because Mayweather wasn't that hugely liked, right? And that's funny because Mayweather actually wasn't liked, but yeah, he broke records in pay-per-view because, like I said, that was the reason people wanted to see if there's someone can beat him, because Mayweather was almost marketed as this guy's unbeatable. You know, no one can beat this guy. And that's why there was always a you know, fascination there. You know, like, for example, Amir Khan, he has a huge fan base, but, you know, he's taken losses a lot of times, but people still tune in because he's a lot more exciting than Mayweather. He's great to watch, you know, and people are watching him as well. There's a lot of people that want to see him get knocked out, but there's a vulnerability there. But, you know, a lot of the hardcore fans that watch Amir Khan love it because they think, wow, this guy's so exciting. He's offensively very gifted, but, you know, his chin's vulnerable. And, you know, is he going to get knocked over? Is he going to knock the other guy over? He's very exciting to watch. So he's just an exciting guy. But Mayweather was just, the way he marketed himself, the way he promoted himself, he was brilliant. That's why he made so much money. That's why he broke pay-per-view records, because, you know, he marketed himself brilliantly. Canelo's just, like I said, he's just got an incredible and huge fan base. But we've gone completely off topic. Getting back to it, Canelo and Usyk. The point I was trying to make is because of these, you know, crazy fantasy matchups, we're now starting to have, I feel like Gervonta Davis fight Keith Thurman, Canelo fight Usyk. You know, there's weight classes for a reason, and someone mentioned that, I think Ray mentioned that there's weight classes for a reason, and Canelo Usyk would be it'd be a stupid fight when you think about it. Like some people actually think Canelo can beat Usyk. I don't know how Usyk is so big. Like, he just beat Anthony Joshua at heavyweight, you know. So you do question that. How's Canelo going to beat Usyk? A guy that's 6'3", a guy that's big, strong, can take a punch, very good boxer. You know, I don't see Canelo outboxing Usyk. Usyk is just so skilled. You know, I think Usyk would easily outbox Canelo. But the point is that in the future, could I see Canelo fighting someone like Usyk? Maybe in a couple years' time, you know, when Canelo's on the way out. Because when a fighter's on the way out, he might not mind losing. The problem is now, if Canelo was to lose right now, that would hurt even though it would be against a massive guy like Usyk, it would still hurt his credibility, because Canelo at the stage of his career and viewed in a way where any kind of loss would hurt his credibility. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who he loses against and how big that guy is. It's just because of the way we view Canelo today. He's viewed as the best fighter of his generation. So if he was to take a loss, although he would gain a lot of respect from the fans, I just think that his credibility take a hit irrespective of whether he's losing to a bigger man. So I wouldn't like to see that yet. Maybe in a couple years' time when Usyk gets a little older and Canelo gets a little older and Canelo's on the way out, then it might not affect him that much. But when you're Canelo, Canelo's tasted defeat before. Why would you want to taste defeat again? I think the more realistic matchups are 175. Now, if Usyk has a stint at heavyweight and then Canelo in a couple of years says, come back down to cruiserweight and I'll fight, that might be, again, a strategical move from Canelo and probably give himself a better chance of winning, because Usyk would probably find it difficult to come back down to cruiserweight, because that would be difficult. And I think it would be very difficult because Usyk's quite a big cruiserweight. When you look at Usyk's body size, he's massive. He's not, I don't even think Usyk's that small a heavyweight. When you look at him, he's 6'3", he's massive, he's huge. And he was 230 something pounds when he fought Joshua. So if he had to take off like 40, 50 pounds, that would be a lot of weight to, I'm saying even if he has to take off 30 pounds, that's a lot of weight you have to take off. I don't know whether Usyk could do that. So Usyk would be at a massive disadvantage. But if Usyk is right, and you'd have to say that he'd be a massive favourite to outbox and beat Canelo quite comfortably. Now, there has been people that says that Usyk stops Canelo. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that Usyk stops Canelo at all. I think Canelo's very, very tough. I don't think Usyk hits that hard. And I think Usyk would absorb Canelo's punching power. I do. I don't think Canelo gets stopped. I think, yes, winning on points and outboxing Canelo, yeah, I think there's a very strong possibility that happens. But I don't see Usyk stopping Canelo. No chance. No chance whatsoever. Beating Canelo on points, yeah. I think that would probably be the most reasonable prediction, to say that Usyk beats Canelo on points. But I don't think Usyk would stop Canelo. I think Canelo's got a very good chin. And I don't think Usyk hits that hard. Even though I know he's got respectable power. He showed that against Anthony Joshua. But yeah, I think Canelo's got a very sturdy chin. And we've seen that he can take some serious punches. I think we'll find out more when he fights Makabu, fights Beterbiev, these type of guys. I don't think Canelo should be looking at an Usyk fight. And I don't think he is. I think Canelo and his team are very smart. They're not going to go anywhere near Usyk, especially now. Maybe in a couple years' time, who knows what could happen. But yeah, that would be crazy for Canelo to fight Usyk, especially now, because I feel like Canelo's got so much more he can do. I just think that and by the way, I don't think Usyk is a dangerous fight. Look, anytime you fight a heavier guy, it could be considered a dangerous fight. But I don't think it's so much dangerous because I don't think Usyk's a puncher like that. So at most, I think what's going to happen to Canelo, he'll get outboxed and outworked by Usyk, which is a possibility. But getting stopped, then I don't think so. I don't think Usyk would stop Canelo. But I might be wrong. Look, when you're a guy that's so much bigger than somebody, naturally, so much bigger, who knows? Those shots could take his toll. Let's not forget, he almost had Anthony Joshua out there. And Anthony Joshua was a 6'6" heavyweight, Yeah, people will say, well, Canelo's got a great chin, Joshua's not got a great chin. But remember, Joshua's also 6'6" and a heavyweight. He's used to taking big punches from bigger men, So yeah, I'm a big fan of Canelo, as you guys know. But I think sometimes our expectations of Canelo is too much. He's not Superman at the end of the day. He's just a boxer, and ask him to go up and even for that to be talked about. And that just shows the greatness of Canelo. The fact that we're asking, or some people are asking him that, or even talking about a fight with Usyk, is because they think that Canelo's unbeatable. And if Canelo does clean out the 175-pound division, which some of you think he won't, by the way. Let's get that out there. Some of you don't think he'll clean out the 175-pound division. But if he does, there will be talk of him going to fight Usyk. And if Usyk is a heavyweight world champion, right? I'm saying, just say if Usyk beats Tyson Fury, can you see Canelo going up there to fight Oleksandr Uysk at heavyweight? I don't know. Maybe they do the fight at a catchweight of 215 or something at heavyweight. for the heavyweight world titles. You know, maybe I wouldn't like that because heavyweight doesn't have a limit, but you know, maybe to accommodate the fight, maybe they do something like that. I don't know. You know, Canelo definitely can't fight some of the bigger heavyweights, no chance. But I think realistically, I think a fight between Canelo and Usyk would be at cruiserweight. I think that obviously makes sense. But again, if that fight, just say it is talked about in a few years' time, is it possible for Usyk to come back down to cruiserweight? I don't know. Listen, I just think Canelo's got a lot to do. You know, I think Canelo's got a lot to do at light heavyweight. But, you know, Eddie Hearn, and I'm going to do a separate video about this. Eddie Hearn actually thinks he can clean out a division in like he did with the 168, which I'm not so sure about. Also, you've got to realize that, you know, Canelo's had a lot of fights. He's had a lot of camps, and some of the fights haven't been easy. And if he does fight at 175, remember, some of those fights aren't going to be easy as well. So, you know, to start asking Canelo to go up and start fighting these bigger guys and stronger guys, Angel Garcia pointed out that, you know, boxers need to have a life after boxing as well, you know, because these type of fights can take a lot out of you, you know. Getting hit by bigger men is not a joke. You know, they're serious, man. Getting hit by bigger guys and guys that can, guys that can really hurt you, you know, and they're naturally bigger guys who are good boxers as well. So, yeah, I think if Canelo was to fight at 175 and he does unify and become undisputed at 175, I think Canelo will not be far away from retirement. And it's crazy because if we go off what Eddie Hearn says, that he'll do the same thing that he did at 168 at 175, then that's probably going to be done in the next 1.5 years, which Canelo will only be 33. So to me, it's getting to a place where if Canelo does have another 4 or 5 fights in a very short space of time, you're starting to get to a point where there's going to be no opponents left for Canelo, unless he decides to go and move to heavyweight or something. You know, there's going to be literally no opponents left. You know, so for me, I don't know. Canelo said he's got another 6-7 years left in the game. I don't know. You know, you can always dig opponents out, but it's just, yeah. It's just, I don't know. I don't know whether, you know, Canelo should be moving up ridiculous weight and fighting these bigger guys. And I'm not so sure, because I think, it takes a toll on your body. That's just what my opinion anyway. But I do think at this particular time, Canelo's not going to fight Usyk. I think Usyk himself has got a heavyweight division to sort out first. And then if he, if Usyk, listen, if you look at Usyk, he hasn't got a lot of fights. Unless if he was to fight Tyson Fury, and if he beats Tyson Fury, I reckon if that was the case, then Tyson Fury wins, he'll probably retire. So then when you think about it, who's Usyk going to have to fight? Wilder? Or is Wilder going to stick about? Usyk's not going to have a lot of big fights as well. So Usyk's probably thinking, who am I going to fight? So that's why he's probably entertaining a Canelo fight, because he knows Canelo would make him a lot of money. So I can understand why Usyk would probably look at the Canelo fight as easy work, because he thinks Canelo's a small guy. So that would be an easy fight for me. So I can understand why Usyk would entertain that. But would Canelo entertain it? I think Canelo's got a lot more options, and he's got a lot more to do. Look, he's got Benavidez, Bivol, he's got Benavidez, he's got Andre, Charlo, all of those guys. And then he's got Makabu, potentially some cruiserweights, Bradis, So Canelo's got a lot more options, right, than someone like Usyk, who may have a couple fights and then he may have nowhere to go. Like, he might have to fight against guys that aren't going to be that big fights. Like Usyk Joyce isn't a big fight, or Usyk, Ruiz, that's not really a huge fight. So you can understand why Usyk would also want a Canelo fight, because it's a payday, right? It's a payday against a guy that he probably fancy beating, who's a lot smaller than him. So Usyk will probably look at that fight and think, look, Canelo for me is not easy work for anybody, irrespective of how big somebody is. And he's dangerous for anybody, because that's just how great Canelo is, and he's got great boxing IQ, and he's a very versatile fighter, a very smart fighter. But at the end of the day, so is Usyk, and Usyk is way bigger than him, height-wise, size-wise. See, look, Canelo's quite a big dude. Canelo's a big guy. You know, a lot of people thought Canelo at 154, and then like Golovkin's bigger than Canelo, but Canelo's a big, like his frame is big. His frame is huge, even though he's not tall and stuff. His frame is massive. You know, he's like he's like Javante, you know, mini Mike Tyson. Not the tallest guys, but they've got a huge frame. You know, they're built like a house. You know, they've got great huge frame. So that's why Canelo can carry up and move up to weight classes. And he also, let's not forget, Canelo also has great defense as well. He doesn't get hit a lot anymore. You know, he's got a great slippery defense, which is not hard to catch him clean. So that's that's the other thing that makes Canelo great. But yeah, I think Usyk may be a step too far. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with Roy Jones that Canelo Alvarez would be beaten easy by Oleksandr Usyk? Leave your thoughts, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.